this video, we're gonna take this bundle of wood and make this cool toolbox. For each toolbox, I cut 4 pieces of pine and 1 piece of walnut at 22 using the Festool Capex miter saw. Then I set the table saw at 2 5/8 and cut the pieces of pine right down the middle. Next, I took the walnut and cut 3 pieces that were 3/4 by 3/4. The last power tool I used was the joiner to put a straight edge on all these boards. All right, let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is cut 1 piece of walnut and 2 pieces of pine to 19 inches for the bottom. If you look closely at each board, you'll see that one edge has slightly rounded corners and one edge has really sharp corners. All right, we want the sharp corners in here, then we have walnut, and then sharp corners again. I'm gonna put my square here and put tape on both ends. Flip it over, bead of glue right here, and a bead of glue right here. Take another piece of tape, pull those tightly together, then clean up the glue with a damp cloth. Next, we're gonna cut 4 pieces at 20.5 for the sides. All right, same thing as the bottom. We're gonna put the rounded edge out, square edges together, make sure the ends are flush, and you pull the tape tight. Next, we're gonna cut and build the ends. We're gonna start by cutting 4 pieces of pine, 2 for each end, that are 10 inches long. Now we need to mark the 45-degree neo angle on the top. So take your speed square tape measure, put a mark at 3/4 of an inch, then take your speed square on the left edge, line it up with that mark. Now we want to make sure that we're doing that with the sharp edge side in and the round edge side out. Once again, the rounded side edge is here, the sharp square edge is there. 3/4 of an inch, mark the 45. We are going to line our pencil line up with the inside left edge of this 45 opening, and we're going to cut these 45s exactly the same on all of them. Next, we're going to cut 2 pieces of walnut at 8.5 inches. Now we need to cut 2 short pieces of walnut at 3/4 of an inch for this piece up here. An easy way to mark this is take one of the pieces you just cut, put it even down here, and scribe across. I'm going to do that on each end so that when I cut it, I've got something to hold on to. All right, so we're going to go ahead and tape and glue these together. Start by taking your speed square and making sure the bottom is all flush. Take a piece of tape and pull it tight across and come up here and do the same thing. All right, now I want you to take your leftover piece of walnut, slide it in there, take your little 3/4 inch piece and slide it in there. If it's not quite the right length, don't worry, we can deal with that later. Slide that out, make sure all the tape is tight, flip it over. And let's put 2 pieces of tape on this side and then clean up. All right, like I said, if it's not even up here, don't worry about it. We'll deal with that when the glue dries. Let's go to the next one. We're going to let those dry for an hour along with the other pieces. The glue's dry, the tape's off. I've got my 2 sides. I've got my 2 ends, my bottom. And my handle. Now it's time to do some serious sanding before we assemble this toolbox. All right, with our new sanding block, we're going to start with 100 grit, and then we're going to switch over to 180. Remember, always sand with the grain. Now switch over to 180 grit, leaving no surface unsanded. The first step of assembly is going to be attaching the ends to the bottom. For this, we're going to use glue and nails. Our first step is going to be scribing a line. So this shows us the thickness of the bottom. And what we're going to do is take 4 nails and we're going to start them. All right, let's go ahead and do the other side. So if your nails went through a little bit, just go ahead and flip it over and pound them back. All right, next step is taking glue and putting a healthy amount right where those nails are, right in the middle. I've got this board clamped down so it doesn't move. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in place right here. Make sure my edges are lined up. Because I'm right-handed, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this around so my other end is right here. All right, so my ends are attached. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and glue and nail the sides on. I'm gonna put 3 nails here, 3 nails here, and 3 nails along the bottom. The last thing we're going to do is insert the handle. Now, if it is too tight of a fit, sand it down a little bit. Go ahead and drop that in. Even it up on the ends. And we're going to take a nail and hammer it at an angle through the pine. And that's going to keep the handle from sliding around. Now I want you to take your sanding block with 100 grit and break the edges of the handle and the top of the ends. Then I'm going to go ahead and finish up with 180 and 320, and then last I'm going to go ahead and put a wipe-on poly on this toolbox, and we will call it done. That's a wrap on the pine walnut toolbox. We got a good place for all our tools now. Keep them out of the way. Thanks for watching, and subscribe here. Watch more videos over here. We'll see you later.